Welcome, everyone. I'm Lisa D'Amico, the curator of Childhood Unmuted, and I am here with the very talented Marlon Blackwood. Marlon, I'm so excited to talk to you. Your piece in the exhibit, if I had to give it one word, I'd say deep.
Oh, thank you.
So I would like you to start with the inspiration behind your specific piece, which is called Young God.
Mhm. The inspiration behind that particular piece was actually me going into an art store and seeing black canvas and trying to find something that would be something different because everyone was using white canvas and it was so easy to blend colors and do a lot of stuff. But I'm like, okay, let me see what the black canvas could really do. So reached out with like colored acrylics and didn't stick. So I stuck with a black and white um, theme that actually blended well. And then the other part of the inspiration came from me being an artist of color. Like I've always seen, we've painted our pain so much. We've never painted happiness as part of our art piece. If you're going to psychoanalyze artists of color, it's like, okay, we do these pieces in cahoots with whatever socio-economic thing is going on. So my particular piece was coming from a young immigrant as myself, came from Jamaica and moved into low income housing to where I had to learn just not just the language and the culture, but the subculture of America, which was the inner city black, Hispanic, and white. So it was my perspective was the eyes are the windows of the soul. So I left the eyes blank. So he's absorbing all this information. So when people would see a person of color, you would just assume they're a person of color, not assuming that they could be from somewhere else. And also, I grew up in Stanford, which is an affluent area, went to an affluent school. So I've seen a lot of things and we experienced a lot of things. So my piece, Young God, was saying that most basically children, if they see things, they could be able to experience it more, and the lack thereof they could also not experience it. So that piece was like just saying that this young individual is experiencing everything to become something he will be meant to be in the future.
Wow. The eyes on that, as a curator, I find them hypnotic
Okay.
because what I find also fascinating is that you started with a canvas that was already, I've never seen a black canvas before. That's amazing. Like you didn't prime it black, it was
No,
black.
it was black, yeah.
That's incredible. So very rarely do I ever hear artists say that kind of the material started the journey.
Oh yeah. And for me, it was just like, oh, let me go into the art store, and then we're not gonna name names until they're involved in this. But it was always the white canvases, and it's easier to do stuff on. But I also wanted to challenge myself a bit. And during the pandemic, that as an artist, that's what I chose to do. Did charcoal pieces on white canvases, and just kept stretching the bounds of what my God-given talent, i.e., the young God. I've seen it all, but me growing up as a young immigrant in Jamaica, there was no way I would think to become an artist. It wasn't on our radar. And as you get older, living in the inner city community, the only way out was athletics. Hey, go play sports, go play football. But I wasn't really paying attention to that. I was still scribbling a little bit. So my passion was always still there. And then I worked in the psych ward. Well, I don't want to say psych ward, but in for the Department of Mental Health, and I was on an all male unit, third shift. And these were guys with different psychiatric, I don't know what words I can use, but it was me drawing on the chalkboard stuff that like changed their behaviors. It was me drawing it, let's say a Barney Rubble Christmas thingy or something, and somebody who's 40 or 50 would bring them back to their childlike state. So even Young God kind of played into that. If these guys who've been through the worst case scenarios in life committed crimes or whatever that's unmentionable, but I could still draw an image from their childlike state and bring them back to a place where like, oh Marlon, you're my man. I can't wait for you to come to work tomorrow. And then I would get them to be, hey, clean your room and I'll do another piece for you. So all of that stuff kind of, you know, culminated into, I mean, that particular piece. It's just my thought process, I guess.
Your work, I recommend to everyone listening to see more of your work. Go to your website
Oh,
and
thank you.
you have, look, art is a universal language. Everybody, understands it. But you have in your work, from my perspective, almost like a sense of community. It's, your viewers, the viewers of your art, are invited in.
Mhm.
It's,
Aw.
the work is challenging and definitely thought-provoking, but
Mhm.
there is a sense of welcoming to your work
Right.
and kind of learning from your perspective a little bit. And I really appreciate that. And then when I read more about you, I read that you have a degree in sociology. Am I right?
I didn't finish because I had my daughter, but I was like this close because I had a child back then, and so I said I'm gonna leave it. I'm gonna go
Mhm.
into the working world and had to do what I had to do, and I hurt my back working for the Department of Mental Health, and they offered me the opportunity to go back to school. So I said I don't want to do sociology. I don't want to
Right.
spin around people. I want to be able to express myself finally, not through the coach's eyes, not through, but just through mine. So I said I'm going back for graphic design. And they were like, "You sure you want to do that? Do you really know about computers?" But it's something about being an artist
Mhm.
in graphic design that just blends. And I think that me doing what I'm doing now would help future artists of colors to realize that it's not much of a leap from graphic design to art because now my designs are pretty much based on the fact that I can come up with original art pieces. So my even my designs are unique because I've learned to combine, you know, those both fields.
Right. And look, I understand that you're talking, this could reach people of color and so on, but I have to tell you, you're reaching all people.
Yeah, yeah.
And that is the power of your talent. And I can't tell you how much I love having your piece in this exhibit. And also I appreciate having your piece in this exhibit.
Oh, thank you,
So,
Lisa. Appreciate you having me.
Marlon, it has been such a joy to speak with you. And I know I will work with you again as an artist. So I
Oh,
really can't
looking
tell you
forward to it.
how inspiring your piece is.
Oh, thank you, Lisa. And I read up on you too and how inspiring the things that you guys are doing, which is like super awesome. So even if you guys do something big, I would want to mirror that on a smaller scale just to have people know that there's more to art than like, oh, we have grant money, let's spend it. Let's promote the arts. Let's find newer artists. Let's find somebody who's probably the next best artist who's coming out of here. And that's the good thing. And I also even started doing art shows at Central now, and they've never had it before. So I'm doing it for for I don't want to say children because I'm older, but I've done it for the students. And we've had over 25 kids of different majors apply. Like you have no idea how many football players and other people who are artists just but they have never seen it. And it was such a big thing. It was over 200 people came, and now it's something that we're doing like every year now, just to get those young artists the exposure now than later on, because you know how rough it's going to be when all the cliques and groups they got, but they'll have the confidence to at least show their work when they get out of school, and they all have degrees, so hopefully they follow me.
This is what I mean. For everyone listening, follow Marlon Blackwood. It will
Oh,
not only feed your soul, but it will inspire you. So, Marlon, thank you so much.
thank you, Lisa, and I appreciate the conversation.